To easily pocket that 2 million yuan reward, I agreed to Gold Circle socialite Lu Su's request to pretend to be her boyfriend for the Lunar New Year family visit. Little did I expect, even before stepping inside, I stumbled upon her younger sister Lu Ruyan's rant online. This future sister-in-law not only bashed me in her post, saying I dressed like a rag picker, but even vowed to make her sister break up with me immediately. However, between the lines describing my looks, there was a strong whiff of tsundere, hating on the surface but secretly loving it. To teach her a lesson, I pretended to be drunk and mistook her for Lu Su, even whining pitifully that her sister was too pretty and made my heart flutter. Unexpectedly, this reverse psychology move totally broke her defenses. Not only did she blush on the spot, but she even secretly posted late at night, asking netizens for help. Any tips on how to steal my brother-in-law from my sister? Asking for a friend. It's urgent. At first, I didn't realize what was happening. The original poster was none other than the one sitting at the other end of the leather sofa. That aloof and tsundere second daughter of the Lu family, Lu Ruyi. I simply watched with great interest as she stubbornly argued in the comments section. In her reply to netizens, she wrote, "I'm not jealous of my sister." She continued to defend herself, saying, "And I'm not the kind of bad woman who would like her brother-in-law either." She emphasized, "Besides, he's 3 years older than me. He's more like an older brother to me." She concluded, "I just simply think the two of them aren't a good match, that's all." I couldn't resist commenting with a burner account. What's not a good match? After waiting a while, the OP didn't respond. So I decided to get up and pour myself a glass of water, only to look up and meet the gaze of Lu Ruyan, which had somehow fallen upon me at some point. Her eyes were deep and inscrutable, as if harboring some unfathomable little thoughts. I was taken aback for a moment, asking, "What's wrong?" Lu Ruyan calmly withdrew her gaze, pretending to examine her nails. She said nonchalantly, "It's nothing. My employer Lu Su had warned me earlier that her younger sister has a cold temperament and a strange disposition, and told me to keep my distance. So I didn't press further." After drinking water, my phone showed I had received a new message notification. When I tapped to check, it was the latest reply from the original poster. She wrote that today she wore a cheap suit that looked like a knockoff from a street stall. Although she looks sharp, my sister is wearing high-end couture. The two of them standing together are completely mismatched. Netizens were laughing in the comments section. One comment said, "Seriously, sis? Even if I wanted to pick a fight, I couldn't come up with a reason like that." Someone retorted, "Isn't a suit all about the face? Handsome is enough." Another joked, "I feel like," using all the best words to describe him, describing the brother-in-law's looks. "For your own sister, it's just a custom-made gown. People might think your sister is a rich lady, keeping a young lover, and you still claim you're not interested in your brother-in-law?" Someone teased. Here comes the tsundere pretending not to care. Looking at the screen, I couldn't laugh anymore, because my outfit with willow catkins today was exactly as described in the post. I slowly turned to look at Lu Ruyan. I cautiously asked, Sister Ruyan, how many years younger are you than me?" She looked up at me, her eyes avoiding mine. After a long pause, she parted her red lips and uttered one word, 3. My heart skipped a beat. Even the age matches up? This can't be just a coincidence. Utterly shocked, I frantically scrolled through the comment history of that account, trying to find more clues. But instead, I saw the original poster asking in the comments. "He suddenly asked me earlier, 'How many years younger than your sister are you?' Did he finally realize I'm younger and more energetic than my sister?" Netizens once again flooded the thread with question marks. Someone asked, "Excuse me, where did your brother-in-law mention your sister at all?" Another analyzed, "I get it. The OP wants to highlight her youth and beauty, hoping her brother-in-law will notice her more." Someone teased with a smirk, "Do elaborate on being energetic, he." Another mocked, "Still claiming you're not jealous of your sister and her husband? You managed to compare yourself to your sister over a simple question." The poster seemed rendered speechless. She replied, "I truly didn't mean it that way. I was just saying." The conversation suddenly stopped, as if I had touched a nerve, followed by an indignant remark, "You people just don't get it." Then, there was movement from the sofa. Lu Ruyan threw her phone aside with a straight face. Her delicate, pretty face was tightly drawn, yet the tips of her ears were quietly turning red. By this point, I was completely certain The one who posted that thread was this sophomore, the second daughter of the Liu family. I'm a temporary boyfriend hired by Lu Su to deal with her family's marriage pressure. Just accompany her back to the ancestral home for a meal at the end of the year. And I'll easily pocket 2 million. I'd already planned out how to upgrade my gaming room once that 2 million hit my account. But now her little sister pops up saying her sister and I aren't a good match. Trying to make us break up? Absolutely not. I can't let this duck that's already in my mouth fly away. I absolutely won't allow anyone to ruin my money-making plan. As for those comments in the post saying she likes me, that's even more absurd. Today is actually the first time we've met. Where does love at first sight even come into this? So I started frantically clearing his name in the comment section, completely forgetting how high I had been grinning just moments before while scrolling through the posts. Using a burner account, I replied, "Am I the only one who sees the OP doesn't like her brothers-in-law?" I continued, "OP, I get you. You're just a kind-hearted girl. You wouldn't use negative terms just because of personal bias to describe your handsome and noble brothers-in-law." I sighed, not expecting my comments to be misunderstood by the shallow crowd in the thread. Poor kid. After posting 3 such comments, I received a reply from Lu Ruyan. Haha, she must have been touched by my words and came to thank me. I gleefully tapped open the message. Then my smile froze. The screen displayed 4 bold characters. You don't get it. Those 4 words hit me like a punch in the gut. I instinctively typed a question mark and sent it, only to find that I had already been blocked. What is this little brat trying to say? Lu Ruyan suddenly spoke, interrupting my train of thought. Brother-in-law, she said. Just 2 words. Yet she uttered them incredibly slowly. Her tone carried a faint, almost imperceptible hint of coquettishness, combined with her cool yet slightly sweet and soft voice. It sent a shiver right through me. It wasn't until I heard her next sentence that I snapped back to reality. Lu Ruyan stared at me and asked, "Do you know my sister has a childhood sweetheart who's currently abroad pursuing art?" I was stunned. This was something I actually did know about. Except when Lu Su mentioned that man. She didn't call him a sweetheart, but a rival. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken this gig of pretending to be her boyfriend. But now things seem a bit off. Ugh, just give me a clear character relationship chart already. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Lu Ruyan thought I didn't know about this and was jealous and angry. The gloom that had welled up inside her since seeing me stand next to her sister unexpectedly dissipated a little. Lu Ruyan, who usually always kept a cold face, rarely had the corners of her mouth curve up slightly. She said the longest sentence she'd spoken in the 3 hours since we met. My sister and Chunze grew up together. They were so close that even when she was running a high fever back then, she still took Chunze's favorite ugly dog to the airport to see him off when he went abroad. Hearing this, I frowned. In Lu Su's telling, this incident was a completely different story. Lu Su had once said through gritted teeth, "I've never met someone as lacking in morals as Chunze." Lu Su had raged in her account. Back then when I was sick, he pretended to come visit me. But in reality, he was there to steal my dog. Lu Su said indignantly, "If I hadn't discovered it early and chased to the airport, my sweet little darling would be wandering abroad right now." At the time, I was actually suspicious of Lu Su's story because her dog is a Chinese crested, a breed with hair only on its tail tip, paws, and head. It has sparse tufts of hair, and the hair on its head was dyed a tacky orange color. At a glance, it looked a lot like Little Driller from Journey to the West. It was hard to imagine a man named Chunze setting up an elaborate scheme just to steal a Little Driller. Although I didn't know which version was the truth, to successfully get that 2 million, I chose to believe my client, Lu Su. So I pretended to be shocked, widening my eyes, but keeping my tone gentle. I asked, "How come this is different from what your sister said?" I teased with a smile. "Sister Ruyan, are you trying to sow discord?" In her 19 years of life, Lu Ruyan had never been this agitated before. Not because of my questioning, but because of her own sister. Lu Ruyan desperately wanted to rush into the study and demand to know how her sister could be so heartless, deceiving a simple man like number 10. And where did that leave Chinzich? But she was afraid of frightening me. In the end, she decided to wait until she calmed down and talk to her sister privately, urging her not to two-time. Yet, when she lifted her gaze to meet my smiling eyes, waiting for her response, Lu Rian's mind couldn't settle at all. At the same time, she felt wronged. Why didn't this man believe her? The next second, she remembered that I was her sister's boyfriend. Of course, it was normal for me not to believe her. But this feeling of grievance and frustration just wouldn't fade away. In the end, she lowered her gaze, her voice soft as she whispered, "If you think so, then it's so." Then he picked up his phone and posted a new thread. The title was, "What's up with my sister?" Netizens from the previous thread immediately flocked over. One comment read, "Tisk tisk, to get the brother-in-law. He's starting to badmouth his own sister." Another chimed in, "Keep the drama coming, loving this." Someone else wondered, "Honestly, at this point, I'm even curious about the ops brother-in-law. What kind of top-tier guy can charm two sisters like this? What kind of top-tier? I don't know about that, but I think pretty highly of myself. Tall and well-built, with decent features. But someone like Lu Ruyan, born with a silver spoon, has probably seen all kinds of handsome guys. Love at first sight with me? That's just too far-fetched. So I'm convinced Lu Ruyan simply believes that her sister and I aren't a good match. And he's already exasperated by my deliberately crafted love-struck persona. He'd rather fiddle with that damn phone than pay me any attention. Perfect, that's exactly the effect I was going for. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. I sat meekly on the sofa, waiting for Lu Su to finish his company business before taking me back to the old house. But I didn't expect Chunze to have returned to the country. He's very tall, yet dressed in an outrageously exaggerated visual K-stage outfit. His face was painted with smoky makeup, a silver cross hanging from his neck. He looked like a vampire aristocrat. From the moment he entered, he captured my gaze, until the sound of his thick-soled leather boots hitting the floor came to a halt right in front of me. Chunze looked me up and down, asking in a haughty tone, "So you're the new pretty boy Lu Su is seeing?" Only then did I snap back to reality. Nodding dumbly, he stared into my eyes for quite a while, then disdainfully looked away. He muttered, "Looks are just so anyway." I didn't catch it clearly and let out a confused "huh?" But I never got his answer, because the little Ziwen Feng who had been in the study with Lu Su heard Chunze's voice and came pattering out. The man who just moments ago was all icy arrogance. The instant he made eye contact with the dog, transformed, adopting a high-pitched, cutesy voice. He knelt down on one knee, opened his arms wide and called out, "Come to Goddaddy's arms, baby. Goddaddy missed you so much, oh my precious." Lu Su also came running out at the sound. Seeing it was Chunze in front of me, the normally rather domineering and imposing him immediately changed his expression. He too crouched down and called out to the little Ziwen Feng, "Baby, come to mommy. Mommy has premium jerky here." The once quiet living room suddenly erupted into chaos. Calls of mommy from one side and Godfather from the other echoed back and forth. Amidst it all was the sound of puppy paws scampering back and forth on the floor. I was completely bewildered. Lu Ruyan, however, had somehow stepped up behind me. She asked leisurely, "Do you think that dog is cute too?" I hesitated for a second, mindful that she and Lu Su are sisters. I ultimately couldn't bring myself to be completely honest. Against my conscience, I said, "It's quite unique, isn't it? It's so ugly it resembles an alien creature." I silently added in my heart. Lu Ruyan pursed her delicate lips and spoke as if unwilling to give up. "My ragdoll cat can do backflips. Brother-in-law, do you want to see? A cat that can do backflips." My interest was instantly piqued. This is the ultimate speed bump for any guy. I asked excitedly, "Really? Do you have a video?" Lu Ruyan lowered her gaze, her long eyelashes casting a faint shadow beneath her eyes, hiding the schemes within them. I only heard her whisper, "I didn't record it." She paused, then tentatively asked, "How about we add each other on WeChat, and I'll send you a video later?" Bewitched by the kitten, I cheerfully nodded, "Sure, that sounds great." Completely oblivious, Lu Ruyan's lips curved slightly upward, only to be pressed down again quickly. A few minutes later, that person's account updated again. This time, the post read, "Got my brother-in-law's contact info." Seemingly afraid of being misunderstood by netizens, she pinned a comment to clarify, "I just want to persuade him privately to break up with my sister. Nothing more to it." She added, "Brother-in-law is brother-in-law. There's no way brother-in-law becomes husband." Netizens who had been following the saga immediately called her out. One comment read, "Just admit you're trying to poach him. Why the tough act?" Another teased, Folks, which is more believable? That she's not into her brother-in-law, or that I'm Qin Shi Huang? Another mocked, huh? You must have been over the moon when you got that friend request, you little tsundere. Having been blocked, I was completely unaware of all this drama, and was still watching the two of them fight over the dog. As I watched, it finally dawned on me why Lu Rian used childhood friends to describe these two. This is totally a case of love between bickering rivals who don't realize their own feelings. Darn it. I feel like that 2 million is slipping further and further away from me. What's going on? Finally, when Chunze said he also wanted to visit the Lu family's old residence, and Lu Su said there was an urgent matter at the company, postponing our original home visit until tomorrow. This ominous premonition reached its peak. There have been way too many unexpected changes in one evening. And what if the Lu family elders are like some characters in novels, who prefer their child's well-matched childhood friend, Chunze, and they gang up to put me down and mock me for his sake? No, I need to ask for more money. So I put on my professional fake smile and pulled Lu Su aside. I lowered my voice and said, President Lu, I just remembered I have an 80-year-old mother to support and a 3-year-old nephew below. I feel the 2 million might be a bit insufficient. Could we add another 500,000? Lu Su's gaze sharpened, coldly asking, Mr. Sure, do I look like a sucker to you? Damn capitalist. I gritted my teeth. Just as I was about to try persuading him again, she spoke up. Lu Su snorted and said, and because of your greed, Chunze seized the chance to take my baby back home. Because of this, I might not be able to sleep with him tonight. I'm docking you 1,000. After a moment's thought, she corrected herself. Make that 10,000. My eyes widened. Holy crap. After saying this, Lu Su heartlessly got into the car to chase after Chunze, who had already run off with the dog, leaving me standing there, feeling like crying but having no tears. Meanwhile, Lu Rian, like a ghost, quietly appeared behind me once more. She said softly, Brother-in-law, I didn't mean to stir up trouble. Watching the receding taillights, she continued, but as soon as Brother Chunze returned, my sister couldn't wait to go home with him. She turned to look at me and asked seriously, You still want to keep working with him? Of course I have to. After all, the contract is already signed. But I need to have a backup plan to make money. With that thought, my gaze slowly drifted toward Lu Rian. Her skin was fair and her features were delicate. Her expression was as cold and aloof as ever. But this time, I noticed a faint hint of anticipation in her eyes. What is she anticipating? The comments under that post flashed through my mind. Could Lu Rian actually have feelings for me? To test this, I deliberately looked down, covering my face in feigned distress. My voice choked up as I said, I don't know what to do. Peeking through my fingers, I clearly saw the girl in front of me stiffen. Her small hand, hanging by her side, twitched as if to lift, then fell back down. She said somewhat flustered, Nini, don't cry. What's a grown man crying for? The young woman clearly wasn't used to comforting a man. Faced with my sudden masculine tears, she was particularly at a loss. Finally, she pulled a fragrant tissue from her bag and handed it to me. I seized the moment and grabbed her sleeve. My fingertips brushed against the fabric. With a choked voice, I said, Rian, my heart is aching so much. I looked up at him, my eyes glistening with unshed tears. Can you have a few drinks with me? Lu Rian was taken aback for a moment, then nodded. Afraid I might get drunk and cause a scene, he went to the liquor cabinet himself and brought back a bottle of low-alcohol fruit wine. I deliberately pretended to have a low tolerance for alcohol. After just 2 glasses, I started feigning dizziness. My gaze grew hazy as I rested my cheek on one hand, staring silently at Lu Rian. Under my gaze, his cheeks grew progressively redder. He couldn't bring himself to meet my eyes. It was then that I lowered my voice, feigning grievance. I purposefully mistook him for Lu Su. Mumbling incoherently, I said, If I'd known your younger sister was this beautiful, I wouldn't have started dating you in the first place. I clutched my chest and added, That brother-in-law he called me really hurt my heart. As the words fell, the girl froze completely. After snapping back to reality, she grabbed my wrist fiercely, asking in disbelief, Brother-in-law, what did you say? I didn't answer, pretending to be drunk, slumping weakly against the back of the sofa, leaving Lu Rian standing there dumbfounded, her heart pounding like thunder. It took quite a while for her to fully process my words. She tried to help me to the guest room to rest, But I am, after all, a grown man. And my weight speaks for itself. Lu Rian tried several times, but couldn't lift me up. Instead, she ended up panting and exhausted. In the end, she had to give up, carefully letting me lie flat on the sofa, then fetching a blanket to cover me. Sitting on the carpet, she gazed at my sleeping face, lost in thought. Unconsciously, she raised her hand, her fingertips tracing the outline of my face in the air, but stopped just before touching my cheek. I turned my head and rolled over at just the right moment. My lips brushed against his fingertips almost imperceptibly. The warm sensation made Lu Ruyan jerk her hand back as if shocked by electricity. She felt a faint layer of warmth lingering on her skin. Lu Ruyan withdrew her hand, staring at that finger for a long time. Suddenly, she lowered her head, blushing, and gently pressed the fingertip to her own lips. From the moment she first saw this man on the sofa, she had unconsciously noticed his slightly dry yet sensual lips. She'd wondered what they might taste like. Now Lu Ruyan seemed to have a hint of an answer. Probably the sweet flavor of that fruit wine. Around 10 in the evening, Lu Su finally returned, holding little Whirlwind, and pushed open the villa door. She had completely forgotten about the boyfriend she'd hired who was still in the house. After greeting her younger sister who was sitting dazed on the sofa, she went to the kitchen as usual to prepare little Whirlwind's premium dog meal. It wasn't until Lu Ruyan suddenly spoke up and asked, "Sis, aren't you going to ask where your husband is?" Lu Su finally remembered. I coughed softly, feeling a bit awkward. She asked, "Where is he?" Lu Ruyan pointed towards the guest room and said, "He's drunk, sleeping in the guest room." Lu Su just went, oh twice, and went back to petting the dog and scrolling on her phone. She showed no intention of going to see him. Lu Ruyan frowned, hesitating to speak. He picked up his phone, wanting to ask netizens how to subtly remind his brother-in-law that his sister simply doesn't love him. But the lingering sensation on his fingertips from typing gradually took over his mind. In the end, he deleted those words. He typed 2 new lines instead. He posted, asking, "Is there any way I can steal my brother-in-law away from my sister?" He added, "Waiting online, pretty urgent." Countless netizens following the saga posted one question mark after another. Someone asked, "It's only been 6 hours since your last post where you were so stubborn about it all. What happened in those 6 hours that made you have this sudden epiphany?" The OP replied, "My brother-in-law spoke the truth after a few drinks. He said I'm prettier than my sister." Netizens once again spammed the chat with question marks. One person commented, "A man at 30% drunk will act his way right into your heart. This guy is probably just messing with a naive sweetheart." Someone complained, "Hey, wait a minute. Why did you block my main account? You just don't like hearing the truth, do you?" The OP coldly replied with a single word, "Scram." The netizens were cracking up. Others were just there for the drama, not caring if things got messy. Some even genuinely started offering advice. One person inquired, "Before we give any suggestions, you gotta tell us, what's your advantage over your sister?" Lu Ruyan quietly typed out 2 words, "Youth." After a moment's thought, he added another line, writing, "I've always been chaste and kept my romantic history spotless. Unlike my sister, who has rivals and childhood sweethearts." Netizens joked, "So, she's just an innocent college girl. No wonder she gets so flustered." Lu Ruyan's face turned even redder. She didn't dare say more until a burner account met her. The person asked, "If he has a good physique or something revealing to tempt him. If he's well off, just shower him with money. Which method do you want to use?" The girl was silent for a moment. Her slender fingers typed 2 words. She replied, "Both." Lying on the guest room bed, I saw those 2 words and excitedly kicked my feet under the covers. Yes, Lu Ruyan really is interested in me. If that stingy Lu Su tries to dock my pay again, I'll get it back from his sister. Heh. At that moment, I was only thinking of getting the money no matter what. I had no idea that later, with Lu Ruyan, this seemingly harmless girl, I would stumble again and again. At the doorstep of the Lu family estate, the moment I stepped out of the car, Granny Lu took my hand. The old lady beamed and said, "Oh my dear. So this is Asu's partner," the old lady praised. Very good, very good. Spirited and handsome, he looks reliable. Not like that wretched boy from the Chin family," the old lady said disdainfully. "Dresses like a ghost all day long." Hearing this, Lu Su, who had been bickering with Chun-Zhe just yesterday, frowned. Protectively, she said, "Grandma, if you want to compliment someone, just compliment them. Why do you always have to drag Chun-Zhe down?" At the same moment, Chun-Zhe got out of the Rolls-Royce parked behind. This time, she wasn't wearing those exaggerated visual K stage outfits, but had changed into a black suit full of design flair, though she still wore ear studs, making her look like a rebellious rock star. She obediently greeted the Liu family elders. "Hello, Granny Liu." Granny Liu looked her up and down, her expression cool. She merely grunted in acknowledgement, then took my hand and led me into the house. The atmosphere instantly became awkward. I couldn't help but glance back. Chun-Zhe, who had been so arrogant and domineering just yesterday, now looked lost and helpless, like a child who had done something wrong. Lu Su pressed her lips together. She actively placed his favorite little dog into Chun-Ze's arms. The puppy seemed to sense his low spirits, lifting its head to lick his chin. It was then that I learned Chun-Ze wasn't well liked by the Liu family. The scenarios of being ostracized I had imagined now had him as the target, while I became the point of comparison for him. Even just straightening my collar earned praise from Granny Liu for being steady and proper. It felt awful. It was like that awkward, uneasy feeling from childhood, when you go to a friend's house and accidentally walk in on them getting scolded. A feeling of sitting on pins and needles. But what made me most unhappy was seeing Chun-Ze's head bow lower and lower. For goodness sake, how could this old lady only focus on Chun-Ze's unconventional clothes and not see his tall, well-built figure, his compassion for animals, or his overseas education? Fortunately, only Granny Liu and the family seemed to dislike him. Lu Su's parents would step in with a smile to smooth things over, praising Chun-Ze for his artistic flair. Lu Su didn't hold back at all, bluntly telling her grandmother that her grandmother was old-fashioned and didn't understand fashion. Finally, unable to listen any longer, she threw Xiao Ziwenfeng's toy into the yard. Lu Su shouted, "Baby, don't run around. Chun-Ze, aren't you my son's godfather? Come help me chase after him." With that, she grabbed Chun-Ze and ran off, completely forgetting that I, her actual boyfriend, was still standing here. No wonder Lu Ruyan said they were childhood sweethearts. Look how protective they are of each other. Grandma Lu leaned on her cane, scolding in exasperation. "How many times have I told you not to call that ugly dog your son? It will affect your prospects for children, eh, Su? Why won't you listen?" The old lady trembled with anger. Disgraceful. Utterly disgraceful. I blinked, debating whether I should try to calm the old lady down, when Lu Ruyan suddenly asked me, "Brother-in-law, didn't you also really like that dog? Why didn't you go after her?" I was stunned for a moment, not quite catching on. Seeing my confusion, he stood up expressionlessly. Lu Ruyan said coldly, "If you're not going, I am." Only then did I realize he was helping me out of a tight spot, and I quickly followed. I called out, "I'm going. I'll go with you." The old lady still wanted to chat with me, but she was stopped by Lu Su's parents. Uncle Lu said with a smile, "Xiao Shi just arrived. Let the kids show her around." The Lu family ancestral home was nestled on the mountainside with beautiful scenery. When I chased out, Lu Su and Chun-Ze had long since disappeared. No choice, I could only stick close to Lu Ruyan. He lowered his gaze to examine my face, as if trying to read something from my expression. She asked, "Aren't you the least bit angry?" "I'm just an employee. What right do I have to be angry?" But I couldn't explain this to Lu Ruyan. I could only manage a hollow, awkward laugh. "Getting upset won't help. She's your sister's friend." She fell silent, a flicker of resentment flashing in her eyes. Lu Ruyan stopped walking and turned to look at me, asking, "Brother-in-law, do you remember what you said to me last night when you were drunk?" I had anticipated this moment. My original plan was, if the Lu family didn't like me, I'd claim I remembered, then cry on her shoulder, feigning pitifulness for sympathy. But I didn't expect the Lu family to actually like me, at least on the surface. So I hesitated for a second. Little did I know, that 1 second was the opening the sharp Lu Ruyan needed to catch me. She stated with certainty, "You remember." I awkwardly averted my gaze, not daring to meet her eyes that seemed to see right through me. I tried to laugh it off, saying, "Just drunken nonsense. Pretend you didn't hear it." Lu Ruyan's face paled for an instant. He said stubbornly, "I don't want to." The grievance and accusation in his eyes almost materialized, enveloping me. It was then that I suddenly realized. She was still just a 19-year-old girl, at the age when feelings first blossom, and one is most prone to obsessing. Lu Ruyan, her eyes rimmed red, said, "Brother-in-law, my sister doesn't love you at all. Can't you see that?" Her pitiful, delicate appearance made my heart ache for her. But the next second, the girl said, "I've been annoyed by his two-timing for a while now. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind right now." I hurriedly grabbed her. "Don't go, don't go. Don't be impulsive." My attempt to stop her only made her more heartbroken. She asked with a sob in her voice, "Are you really that unwilling to leave my sister?" she demanded. "I just can't figure out what she has that I don't. Anything she can give you, I can give you too." To placate Lu Ruyan, I had no choice but to make a decision that goes against my ancestors. I tentatively asked, would you be willing to?" The girl's long eyelashes fluttered slightly, as if unable to believe the outrageous words she had just heard. I continued walking deeper into the bamboo grove, trying to hide my awkwardness. I said, "Never mind if you're not willing, I won't force you." Before I could finish, my wrist was grabbed from behind. Lu Ruyan lowered her head, her voice as faint as a mosquito but unusually firm. "I'm willing." Then, as if gathering all her courage, she gently leaned into my embrace. Afraid I hadn't heard her, she repeated it once more. He buried his face in my chest, muffling his voice as he said, "I do, brother sure." That brother sure left me dazed. I let him hold me without moving a muscle. The young man was soft and delicate, carrying a faint fragrance. As we held each other, my thoughts started to wander. Just then, Lu Ruyan suddenly stiffened. He pushed me away roughly, his face flushed crimson. His eyes darted around in a flustered panic. He stammered out, "My lipstick, it seems smudged. I need to go fix my makeup." Watching his fleeing back, I was momentarily stunned. So this kid gets shy that easily. I touched the spot on my chest where he had leaned. A strange feeling stirred within my heart. I don't know how long passed before a dog's bark rang out. Snapping back to reality, I looked around. Not far away, I discovered a small playground. It was probably built by the Lu family for the two sisters to play on. At this moment, Lu Su and Chun Zhe are standing with their backs to us. Sitting on the stairs next to the slide, Chun Zhe was crying. Lu Su tenderly put his arm around her shoulder, comforting her like a domineering female CEO. I pulled Lu Ruyan, who had just returned after touching up her makeup, tiptoed closer. Finally, I could make out the conversation between the two of them. Chun Zhe asked with a sob, "Why did I even bother wearing a suit for you? Grandma still doesn't like me." Lu Su declared with an air of authority, "If she doesn't like it, then she just doesn't like it. There are plenty of people who like you." Chun Zhe raised his head and asked, "What about you?" Lu Su was taken aback and asked, "What?" I completely forgot myself, still carrying the title of Willow Katkin's boyfriend. The only thing on my mind is the thrill of the gossip. Lu Ruyan looked at me with confusion. I don't understand why I'm not angry at all. Instead, she looked exhilarated. Meanwhile, Chun Zhe whispered, "Do you like me?" Before Lu Su could answer, he suddenly stood up and frantically wiped away her tears. She stammered incoherently, "Sorry, I'm crying my brains out. Just ignore what I said. We should head back now. That pretty boy is still in the room." Lu Su and Lu Ruyan were truly sisters through and through. Both of them just grab people and pull them into their arms. Lu Su grabbed Chun Zhe's wrist and shouted loudly, "Yes, I do," startling Xiao Zuanfeng, who was busy marking his territory nearby. Chun Zhe hurriedly punched him on the shoulder. Her face flushed red all the way to her ears. She said in flustered annoyance, "Keep your voice down. What if someone hears?" Then she looked down, crestfallen. She mumbled, "But don't you have a boyfriend?" Lu Su confessed, "I hired him." One sentence left both of them stunned. Lu Su was still explaining herself. "I was so annoyed by my family pressuring me to get married that I hired a fake boyfriend." She looked deeply into Chun Zhe's eyes and said, "But now I've seen my own heart clearly." She took Chun Zhe's hand and said, "Zhe, be with me." Chun Zhe was still hesitating. "But your grandmother doesn't like me. She looks down on me for being into that alternative stuff. I really can't take it anymore. A handsome guy with unique taste, being crushed by old-fashioned ideas." I couldn't help but shout, "I have a solution." That shout startled the two of them. Lu Su turned her head. Her gaze landed directly on my and Lu Ruyan's clasped hands. Lu Su asked in shock. Number 10. Lu Ruyan immediately steps in front of me, protectively saying, "Sis, I was the one who made the move." Lu Su frowns as he looks at me, then at his sister. In the end, he decides not to intervene further. He asks, "About you and my sister. What's your plan?" With my devious scheme already formed, I flash a confident smile. It's simple. Pretend to be a lesbian. Bring a girlfriend home for the new year and give it a try. Lu Su falls into deep thought. 2 seconds later, he looks up at me and asks, "Do you have any reliable candidates to recommend?" I've been waiting for this very question. I jump at the chance to promote. I happen to have a very close female university classmate. She's part of the community, and her acting skills are absolutely top-notch. If you don't believe me, I can show you her social media feed. It's full of photos with beautiful women. Lu Su clearly doesn't understand these terms, but he chooses to trust me anyway. She said decisively, "Go and tell her. I'll send someone to pick her up." I readily agreed. Sure thing. My classmate, He Zhenjin, lives in this city. She was picked up in less than 2 hours. Grandma Lu initially thought He Zhenjin was a relative or friend of mine and welcomed her in with a smile. Unexpectedly, as soon as He Zhenjin entered, she linked arms with Lu Su, practically hanging off her. He Zhenjin cooed in a sweet voice. "Oh, this must be Grandma. You've got it wrong. I'm Asu's sweetheart. You can call me your granddaughter-in-law." Grandma Lu froze on the spot, nearly dropping the teacup in her hand. Trembling, she looked at me and asked, "Then, what about you?" Lu Ruyan moved to step forward and explain. I hurriedly pulled her back and spoke up first, saying, "I'm Mr. Lu's driver and bodyguard. I pretended to be her boyfriend earlier because I was afraid you'd get angry." The young lady beside me pouted in grievance, but I had no time to comfort her. Because Grandma Lu was so furious, she raised her walking stick, ready to hit Lu Su. He Zhenjin stood by, shielding her and adding fuel to the fire as she shrieked, "Oh, Grandma, don't hit my wife. I'll be heartbroken if she gets hurt." Grandma Lu roared, "Don't you dare call my granddaughter that." After a chaotic uproar, Lu Su knelt in the courtyard. Stubbornly, she declared, "Grandma, I never told you before. I don't like men. I only like women." Grandma Lu's chest heaved with rage. Pointing at her, she scolded, "How can 2 women carry on the family line? Have you lost your mind?" Lu Su replied calmly, "Isn't there Rian? Let her bear your heir." Granny Lu was so angry she rolled her eyes. You disgrace. You absolute disgrace." As Granny Lu continued her tirade, she suddenly noticed Chunzhe standing beside me and demanded, "You say you don't like men. Then why are you so close with that Chen family boy?" Lu Su glanced back at Chunzhe. The affection in his eyes was almost overflowing. But with his back to Granny Lu, the old lady didn't see this scene. However, who could have expected Lu Su to slip up like this? He couldn't help but murmur, "He's different from other men." Seizing the opportunity, I added fuel to the fire. "That's right, he's more delicate, like a sister." Susher thought of Chunzhe's previous exaggerated makeup and outfits, and with Lu Su acting all intimate and playful together, Grandma Lu believed this statement. The old lady closed her eyes deeply, seeming to be engaged in intense internal conflict. The air fell silent. Uncle Lu and Aunt Lu were also furious, sighing and holding their foreheads to the side. Not to mention He Zhenjin silently mouthing Mom and Dad at them. It was practically a direct challenge to the elders' bottom line. A dozen seconds later, Grandma Lu opened her eyes. Her face weary, she sighed and said, "Asu, your grandma here isn't a fool." She waved her hand helplessly. "I know what you're trying to achieve with this act today." She glanced at Chunzhe and said, "Isn't it just wanting to be with that Chen family boy?" She conceded, "Fine, have it your way. A man is still better than a woman." He Zhenjin, whose performance drive was in full swing, wiped away tears that didn't exist from the corners of her eyes. "No, Grandma, Asher loves me." Grandma Lu waves impatiently. "Get this crazy woman out of here. Her noise is getting on my nerves." He Zhenjin simpers with fake tears. Wah. Asher, you can't abandon me." He Zhenjin is escorted away. But a few minutes later, I receive a voice message from her. She screams through the phone, "Holy cow, Lu Su sent me 200,000. I'm rich." She's so shocked. Her usual husky voice has gone all pitchy. "Tisk tisk tisk. Good thing my salary is 2 million. Wait, no, it's 1.99 million. That damn Lu Su. She really did dock 10,000. After spending a night at the old mansion, Lu Su has her arm around Chunze with one hand, holding Little Whirlwind's leash with the other. The happy family of three boards the same luxurious car. With the money in hand, I also book a flight ticket back to my hometown. As for Lu Ruyan trying to run away, I always thought she was just young and didn't know any better, acting on impulse, or perhaps deceived by the image of a devoted brother-in-law that I had deliberately fabricated. In short, I didn't believe it was genuine. I figured it would pass once the novelty wore off. Little did I expect she'd follow me into a taxi. With red-rimmed eyes, she demanded, "You're planning to go back to your hometown without telling me? After what happened between us yesterday, you're going to dump me today?" Feeling guilty, I was at a loss for words. Seeing her on the verge of tears, I had no choice but to cancel my flight ticket silently. I told the driver to turn around and head to the small place I rented in the urban village. It was a tiny single room of just over 30 square meters I hadn't returned yet. The environment was humble, and with her tall, elegant presence entering, the room felt even more cramped and confined. I shrugged helplessly and said, "As you can see, I'm living quite poorly." I mockingly said I'm not like Chunze. My family and yours, we're not from the same world. Lu Rian sat on that slightly hard bed, the sorrow in her eyes, along with the rain falling outside the window, lightly tapped upon my heart. She suddenly called out, "Wei Yuxian." This was the first time she called me by my full name. She asked earnestly, "Do you think I'm like those rich second-generation kids? Only knowing how to play with other people's feelings. Otherwise, a normal person wouldn't make a move on a fake brother-in-law they just met 2 days ago." Although I did use words to flirt with her. Thinking of this, I guiltily touched the tip of my nose. I tried to reason with her. "How about we just have a meal and then go our separate ways?" Lu Rian quietly looked at me, her gaze stubborn. Just when I thought she would refuse, she returned to the aloofness of our first meeting. He simply replied, "Okay." But he had one condition. He insisted on eating in this room. Left with no choice, I ordered takeout. I unfolded the folding table by the bed, but the space was too cramped. Her long, slender legs kept brushing against me from time to time. I couldn't help but think back to the bamboo grove, to that unfinished embrace. A restless heat began to stir within me. I urged, "Finish your food, and then you should go." Lu Rian calmly pointed out the window. "It's raining. How can I leave?" I said, "Doesn't your family have a driver?" He replied, "I just let him go." I asked through gritted teeth, "What about a taxi?" He declared matter-of-factly, "I'm not used to other cars. I get carsick." The hints were obvious enough. How could I not understand what this girl was thinking? She just didn't want to leave, just trying to cling to me. I pretended I was about to get angry and kick her out. But when I raised my hand, I accidentally knocked over the drink on the table. Orange juice spilled everywhere. Her skirt and top were completely soaked. The situation took a strange turn. It should have just been a matter of changing clothes. After all, she had nothing else to wear. Her soaking wet clothes accentuated her graceful curves. I found her one of my oversized t-shirts. When she changed, she didn't close the bathroom door properly. Through the crack, I caught a glimpse of fair skin. When she came out wearing my t-shirt, the hem covered her shorts, revealing 2 long, pale, and straight legs. She walked around the room, making me dizzy. Finally, she stood on the balcony helping me take in the laundry, and I told her to leave. He pointed to the increasingly heavy rain outside and said we couldn't leave. Half a month later, I tried to urge her to leave again. The girl was helping me hang the freshly washed clothes, not even turning her head. She was wearing a silk slip dress. In the sunlight, her skin was so fair it seemed to glow. She lazily said, kicking me out in broad daylight, "Just wait. I'll leave after hanging this last piece." She turned around, one of her shoulder straps slipping halfway down, looking at me with an innocent gaze. This shameless little enchantress. Forget it. Might as well talk it through with her. Who made me set my eyes on that luxury apartment downtown? A 2 million down payment just isn't enough. Having a wealthy girlfriend doesn't seem so bad after all.